afternoon, boys and girls. Today I'm going to tell you a little story. I had this friend once who asked me to help her plan a surprise party for our other friend. And she was like, "We'll split it. We'll make sure that we share the work and we'll split up getting everything we need." But the way the story kind of went was as time passed, I ended up doing most of the work and I sent out the invitations, I went grocery shopping, bought the decorations, ordered cake, everything. And she kept saying, "Oh, I'll help you with the next part, don't worry." But by the time the birthday came, the day came, I did everything. So when the birthday guest came through the door, my friend yelled, "Surprise!" like she planned the whole thing. Writers, that friend played a role in my life. She taught me that I needed to depend on myself and others might let me down. She also taught me a lesson. She's the kind of person who always was around for the good times, but not for the work. That was the role she played in my life, and it taught me not to wait around for others. I tell you this story because just like my friend played a role in my life and taught me important lessons, the secondary characters in your narratives play roles and influence you, the main character. There's a saying that everyone who comes into your life comes into it for a reason. Well, I don't know if that's totally true, but here's what I do know. Everyone who comes into your story comes into it for a reason. So today I want to teach you that authors ensure that every character, main and secondary, plays a role in the story. So right now, let's study how Sandra Cisneros put characters into 11 to play roles. What about Mrs. Price, for example? What role does she play? Okay, let's look at one part here. Where is it? Ooh, right here. And let's think about her role. So, whose is this? Mrs. Price says, and she holds the red sweater up in the air for all the class to see. Whose? It's been sitting in the coat room for a month. Not mine, says everybody, not me. It has to belong to somebody, Mrs. Price keeps saying, but nobody can remember. So far, Sandra Cisneros has showed Mrs. Price to be kind of aggressive, right? Sort of a mean character. But what effect does that have on the story? On Rachel? So even Rachel says, where does it say? Oh, even if it belonged to me, I wouldn't say so. So that kind of tells us that Rachel doesn't really want to interact. She's maybe a little bit scared of her teacher, and her teacher's loudness, Mrs. Price's loudness, makes her quieter. Okay, let's keep reading a little bit more. Let's take a look. Okay, it says down here, if that would go away. Nope. Today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I'd have known what to say when Mrs. Price put the red sweater on my desk. I would have known what to tell her it wasn't mine, instead of just sitting there with that look on my face and nothing coming out of my mouth. This goes with what I was saying before. It's as if Rachel can't find her voice. She's silent, and Miss Price plays a big role in Rachel's silence. Now let's skip to the last line of the story. It says, I wish I was anything but 11, because I want today to be far away already, far away like a runaway balloon, like a tiny O in the sky, so tiny, tiny you have to close your eyes to see it. I'm wondering what role Mrs. Price plays in the story about Rachel feeling so small and so silent. I think maybe Mrs. Price is here to make Rachel feel those ways. She's kind of the bad guy in the story. So I'm hoping you noticed what I just did. First, I looked to a character to see who I could study. Then I reread, asking myself, what role does this character play in the story's meaning? So in my own story, the one about my wrist, I could do something similar. I could focus in on a character such as my dad or my aunt, and I can think, what role do I want this character to play in my story? And I already kind of talked about focusing in on my aunt and how happy I was that she was visiting. So I might want to use my aunt to help me figure out what message I want to share in my story. Maybe the message might be, there are people in your life who will always be there for you, and my aunt might help me make that message clear. So, your turn. Think about your story now. What role do the secondary characters play in forwarding your big meaning? Is there still work you might need to do to sound more like Sandra Cisneros? So I want you to take a moment to think. I'll leave this screen up for a little bit. You can either maybe jot it down on a Post-it, write it in your notebook, or write it on your draft. All right, today you have quite a bit of work to do. It's time to put the finishing touches on your pieces. Take a minute to prepare by thinking about what you'll work on today. In the next slide, I'll show you the strategies from Lessons from Mentor Narratives. When you have a clear idea for your writing work today, you can head off and get started. And you will stay in your seats unless your sub tells you you can pick a seat, because today things are a little bit different. But for now, let's look at our mentor lessons from mentor texts. At any point, if you want to pause or go back in this video, please feel free.